but it may not be scientifically correct.
It is this tension between gay political objectives and the reality of change that creates the intense controversy surrounding people who change from gay to straight. For those who accept traditional faith teaching concerning sexual matters, this tension can feel like a disrespect of their faith and a denial of their existence.
One thing I should make clear is that there is this sort of claim being made today that if you live in a way that's consistent with your beliefs and values as a Christian, meaning you choose not to act on the attractions that you have, that somehow that will be intrinsically harmful to you as a person. And the research that I've seen just doesn't bear that out. It seems to me, as I look at this research, it comes down to congruence. Are you living your life in a way that's consistent with your beliefs and values? And so if your beliefs and values are that you believe God's saying not to act on the attractions that you have towards the same sex, that it seems to me that then acting on those is going to be more problematic for you than not acting on them.
I never believed that homosexuality was right, and so change began with that belief that it was wrong and it was changeable, and admitting that I was living a very self-focused life and just living to meet my desires at all times, and it was always about me.
And so I began to look at the research literature on sexual orientation and found that there were studies of people who had changed their sexual feelings, and that there were documented cases in the literature, in the scientific literature, of people who had changed from completely homosexual to completely heterosexual. And I have to say, it's really a sad situation when a professional body will tell people that have made tremendous changes in their lives that they don't exist, that those changes aren't valid, that they're in some way deceiving themselves. And I think that it ignores the very real situation that many people feel who consider themselves former homosexuals when professional bodies don't take them seriously.
One such person is Noe Gutierrez. He remembers well when he came out as a gay man.
I was very angry when I came out. I came out of the closet. I was very angry. I was angry about how long I had felt isolated and unaccepted and different, and now I felt empowered by knowing, I belong to some class of people.
After coming out to family, Noe began to become more comfortable with his identification as a gay man.
And I guess I started really shaping my life around the decision that I had made to adopt a gay identity until it became my entire life. From the people I talked to the things I believed in, to the books I read, to the music I listened to the things I liked. Suddenly my tastes were being changed. I liked certain actors and actresses. I didn't like other actors and actresses. I liked certain movies. I didn't like certain other movies. Because everything started revolving around my feeling comfortable in my gay identity. I wanted to feel good about it. I wanted to get the message out that it's okay to be gay.
Through his involvement with Community United Against Violence in San Francisco, he was filmed telling his coming out experiences before public school students in the film, It's Elementary. Noe has mixed feelings about his presence on this film.
The thing that I don't necessarily agree with in It's Elementary is it should be safe for a kid, a young boy or a young girl, to be different. It should be safe for them to not fit into the typical stereotypes of what a young boy or girl might be. I don't equate being different in that expression to being gay. I don't think they're the same. I was filmed speaking before a group of young people. The one close-up I have in the film, I remember this so clearly. I argue that there are already gay kids in the schools. I believe that there are young children who have conflict, have internal conflict, much like I did. My mistake in that clip is that I named them. I named them. I didn't give them a chance to name themselves. I didn't give them an opportunity to discover their identity. I named them. I said, there are gay students in this school. What gives me the right to do that? What gives me the right to name them?
Many who are no longer gay found that they were dissatisfied living as gay-identified people.
We asked all of them what was the most important reason, and many gave several reasons, and then we made it after listening to them, we made a list of the most common, so we have some notion of the frequency. For many, it was they wanted to stay married or get married. For many, it was a religious conflict. They felt that the religious values conflicted with homosexuality. Many of them were unhappy with what they perceived was a gay lifestyle, promiscuity that they had felt was associated with being gay.
To some, it may come as a surprise that there can be choices about their personal identity. For those we spoke to, the dissatisfaction prompted a desire for a new direction in life consistent with their values and personal beliefs.
Well, you can change it. I changed. And so that's my view. It's a personal experience for me. And I've seen it happen with many others who have chose to change. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do. It certainly wasn't. There's a lot of emotion involved here and all that goes with it. But I know that people can change. I've seen it happen. I've done it. And the reason I was miserable where I was at, I wanted to change. I wanted to get out of that lifestyle. And so I sought help. I was the one that went seeking. Not somebody, beating the doors down, Bible thumping me, not at all. I was the one that was looking for a way out.
But then what happens is when they're 40, 42, 44, now they're at the end of the bar, smoking their cigarette and drinking their drink, and no one's paying attention to them anymore. They're now the old guy. And all of a sudden they say, why did I waste my life? And so we get a number of guys who come into us in their 40s or in their 50s who used to have baby faces and now have aged and say, this doesn't work for me.
That I firmly believe that homosexuality is a choice, and it may not feel like a choice. To me, it never felt like a choice. But looking back and realizing what was the engine driving my choices or my feelings, it was a heart that was choosing a certain way.
When I was 24, I came to a point where it had been many years since my coming out of the closet. 8 years, I guess. I came out when I was 16, when I was 24. I'd moved to San Francisco. I had been in several relationships. I was at the time in a committed relationship with another man. We were on our 3rd year together, lived together. I was as integrated into the gay community as I could be. And what I found for me was that it wasn't enough. That it wasn't enough. And I thought it would be. I felt empty. I felt like dissatisfied, disillusioned.
According to those who told their experience, change was not quick or easy. They also say it is not the same for everyone.
Well, at that point, at 24, I started again. I decided, okay, well, this isn't enough. What is then? What is enough? I took a harder look at the roots of my decisions and my decision to become gay identified.
I thought at the end of that relationship, after 8 years, I thought I had changed. I did all the things that my pastor told me to do, and I had a female mentor at the time, and I got back involved in church and a Christian organization on campus at college, and memorized the verses, read the books, changed my friends, all the above. But it wasn't even a whole year did I meet somebody else at a Christian sports camp. And the second I saw her, I knew I was going to fall. It was like I was watching myself and I couldn't get off the train that I was on. And I ended up falling with her, and that relationship lasted 2 years. And that was devastating for me because I thought I had changed. And through that relationship, I realized that behavior change does not change my heart and doesn't change my orientations. That's just behavior, it's just a shell.
My whole identity had been swallowed up in my gay identity, honestly. So when I started realizing healing in my sexuality, I was at a loss for a clear reflection of who this new person was. You know, when I saw myself, I thought, oh, what's going on here? And there are words in the Bible that specifically speak to who we are to God, how beloved we are, how purposeful we are, what our purpose is in life. When someone's looking at redefining themselves and looking for change in their lives, there's a lot of tearing down that needs to happen, and there's a lot of rebuilding that needs to happen. And I can't think of a better foundation than the Word of God, and what it has to say about who you are.
Well, I needed to renew my mind. I'd certainly filled it with a lot of stuff. Contrary to what the homosexual politicos will tell you, homosexuality is very much based on sex, particularly with the men. After a while, it leaves you pretty shallow, leaves you pretty empty, especially once you're really looking for something substantive, something lasting. And that was never true in homosexuality. I still haven't found it true. I still have homosexual friends, and many of them are infected, and some continue to pass away.
I really had that deep down inside that heterosexuality hurt women. It was for the service of men, and that it hurt women. And so when I discovered my own attractions towards females, I think it was hard. I think it was hard for me to stop judging men like I had for most of my life. Stop judging them for what I'd heard from women, which is men only want one thing. And I had to set all those aside and say, hey, I'm a man, and I'm not abusive, and I don't just want one thing, and I accept other men, whether or not they fit into my idea of what masculinity is. And I'm a man. I have that power. I can belong. That, to me, was the door, you know.